This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Kuf Yud Dalin. Our learning for today should bring an incredible refuah shalema to Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva b'siyata d'shemaya. The Zchus HaTorah, which we of course know knows no bounds, should work its magic b'siyata d'shemaya. Well, it's not magic; it's the Zchus, and bring an incredible and complete refuah shalema in Mirza Hashem. So we're holding on the bottom of Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis. We turned over to Kuf Yud Dalid. But for a moment, let's just go back to get a running head start. We're in the middle of a Braisa, Rabbi Bar Chananya Kameder of Nachman, that he taught us, that was smack in the middle of Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis, that there's no Nachla given at night. The Gemara Abaya asks the incredulous question, what? So there's only a nachla, there's only the heritage if someone is nifter by day? How can it be? So therefore the Gemara suggested, says Abaya, Dilma din nachlois kamrit. Maybe that what you're referring to is the din nachlois. The Tanya will just pick up a running head start, 6 lines from the bottom. The Tanya, din, that the whole parsha has a din of, should be considered like a din, as we'll see, like the regular dinim, regular halachais of dinei Torah. Uchta Rav Yehuda, Dama Rav Yehuda, din. 3 people that visit a sick person, and the sick person says, I want you to write me a will, I want you to write me a tzavah. Either if they want, they could write it, sign it, and say they are the edim, the witnesses on this. Or Ratzah Isadin, if they want, they could themselves become the dayanim, and then they could create a legal document that way. Rav Yehuda, excuse me, Ratzah Isadin, Ratzah said, one more time. Ratzah Kaisar says din. Shnayim, if there's only 2 people there, then of course Kaisar Ve'nai said din, because you need 3 dayanim. Ve'omar Rav Chisda, on this last din, we're on the last line of Kuf Yigim Lamed Beis, Lo Shanu. When do we say that if there were 3 people there, they could become the dayanim? Elabiyayim. This is only during the day. Avol Balayla. But if this happened at night, if someone goes to visit, if 3 people go to visit someone at night, and now there's the same exact question, could they become the dayanim and seal the deal? Says the Gemara, Avol Balayla. Then no, afilu, even the top line of Kuf Yud Daled Amud Aleph, Shleisha Kaisvin ve'ein oisin din. Why? My time adavlu edim. If it's at night, then they could write if they cannot be the dayanim. Why? Because they're edim ve'ein eid naset dayan, and eid cannot become a dayan, which is a whole sugya, whether yes eid naset dayan, whether no eid naset dayan. But says the Gemara, in such a scenario, by day they could be the Edim or the Dayanim, but if it happened at night, then it would not be possible. So asked Abaye, when you, Rabbi Bar Chana, said, when you taught us in the middle of Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, Vaya b'yayim anchilu esbanav, b'yayim there's a nachla at night, is maybe that what you're referring to, is this din of ein nasadayin that could only be done during the day but not at night. Amar Le, he responds, Achiname Kamina, yes indeed, this is what I was referring to. So that's really the wrap up of the previous year. We should have went that extra last line, but okay, a good chazara always helps. Says the Gemara, Itmar, 4 lines down, Kuf Yud Daled Amud Aleph, continues the Gemara. Kinyan, with regarding a kinyan, a chalipin, until when can either of the people back out? Of course, a kinyan, a chalipin is by giving over an item you are either obligating yourself or accepting the obligation, depending if you're the giver or the taker. This is the classical yarmulke, that's hand from hand to hand, a sudar, a handkerchief. So Rabbi Amar, Kol Zman Sheyeshvin, as long as they're sitting there, they could retract. Rav Yosef Amar, Kol Zman She'iskin Ba'isa. So Machlekes Rabbi and Rav Yosef, how far, at what point of the conversation, we should say, is he allowed to back out? Rabbi says while they're sitting, Whereas Rav Yosef says, as long as they are discussing the same conversation. Amar Rav Yosef conversation did mistavra. Says Rav Yosef, I'm right. Why? Da Amar Rav Yudah. From the previous statement, and now you know why this came in over here. Rata kaisin, rata isadin. Says Rav Yosef, this is a raya to me that you can back out as long as you're dealing with that Indian. What's the raya? V'is al gadaitach. If you think like you Rabba hold, then how long can you back out? Can only back out because manchi yoishvin lechoshel mahadar bay. So then asks Rav Yosef, why are we not worried that this chayla might renege? He might back out. Rav Yehuda seemingly taught us that when these three people went to visit, they could go, they could be the Eidim, and then they could become the Dayanim. But the problem is, if the chayla, if the person who's effecting the transaction over here could back out as long as they're sitting together, so then there should always be that concern that he might back out. So asks the Gemara, Rav Yosef therefore proves that it must be only kol zman sha'iskin ba'isa inyan, but not as long as they are sitting together. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Ashi, responds Rav Ashi, no raya Rav Yosef. Amrit l'shemaita kamed Rav Kahana. It says so in front of Rav Kahana, the Rav Yosef mimicha. According to you, Rav Yosef, who says it's as long as they're dealing ba'isa inyan, is it any better? We should have the same kasha. As long as they're being Isaac ba'isa inyan, we should have the same concern that maybe they were going to back out. So rather, how you can explain Rav Yehuda that you let her write and then subsequently seal the deal when you're visiting this liku? It must be where what happened. This liku minyana linyana. According to you, Rav Yosef, why are you not going to be bothered that maybe you'll have the same concern about the Chazara when a moment later? Must be you're going to explain that the case is where they change conversation. They stop talking about that conversation. They talk about something else. And that's the reason why at that point they can seal the deal and become Dayanim. And if that's going to be the case, says the Gemara, so we can explain, according to Rabbah as well, they stood up and then they sat back down to educate the case. Meaning, the fact that they could go in Kaisvin and then be the Dayanim is not going to be a raya for anything, for the simple reason that we're going to have to make an ukimta, whichever way you cut it, either that they're not talking about that topic, according to Rav Yosef, or according to Rabbah, that they're not sitting there anymore. Says the Gemara on the second line of Kuf Yidalem Beis. So what's the Lamaisa? V'olsei Kavaseder Rav Yosef v'Sadeh Inyan Umechsa. Says the Gemara, we paskin like Rav Yosef in three cases called Sadeh, Inyan, and Mechsa. This is also a form of almost siman, but basically a way to remember the three cases. Sadeh, the Rashban fills in, is Daf Yud Beis Parakama. Inyan is our case, and Mechsa is something that we're going to have, and Daf Kuf Mem Gimel about a month's time. B'siyata d'Shemaya. Says the Gemara, Isha Esvina. We are 3 lines down, Kuf Yidalim and Beis, continuing quoting the Mishnah that a woman and her son, her husband, etc., the mothers of the brother, all of these are manachilin, they give over inheritance, they bequeath, and again, this reminds us back to Daf Kuf Ches. This is the Isha, this is the Kach, this was the pickpocketer on Daf Kuf Ches for those who've joined in the Zichru Simanim, the woman who was upset. Why is she upset? She's always giving and not taking. And that's the din that we're discussing right now. Those who haven't seen, we Baruch Hashem started the Zichru Simanim per daf. Please provide feedback. Please enjoy it. We're going to try our best to keep them up to date as best as possible. L'tayeles of all of us. Asks the Gemara, Hasul Amali. Why is the Mishnah have to keep this case? Atanale Reisha, we learned in Reisha Ishas Ima V'Isha ve'ish es ishtai. The first part of the Mishnah already learned a man his mother, a man his wife. There are these cases that the mother inherits and doesn't bequeath. The wife, that all of these, the man, I said it backwards. The man inherits his mother and doesn't bequeath to her. A man inherits his wife and doesn't bequeath to her. So now when you flip it, that means when you look at it from the vantage point of the woman, she is giving to the husband and not getting. So it's the same thing in the flip side. Why does the Mishnah have to say the same case twice? Explains the Gemara, Kamash Malan, the Isha Esbina. There is a chiddush there. The chiddush is that a woman and her son is the same as Dumi di Ish Es Baila. Ma Ish Es Baila, just like a woman with regard to her husband, Ina Baal, Yirish Es Ishtai Bekever. A husband regarding his wife, he does not inherit his wife in the grave, meaning this is what we learned, that you only inherit that which is muchzak by the woman, and not that which is roi, only that which she has, not that which is fitting to come to her. So too, af ishas bena ina ben yoishes imai bekever. A woman, so too with regard to the son, a child does not yarshin his mother bekever lahancha lachem min av. You only get that which is there at the time of the petira, not that which comes subsequently. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rav Yechanan. So now we're going to quote a cholkim on the Mishnah. Amar Rav Yechanan Mishum Rav Yehuda ben Rav Shimon. Tvar Torah midaraisa. Hav Yerush has been Avisha Yerush has been midaraisa. A father inherits his son, and a woman her son. Shenemar, says the pasuk, Mata is Makish Mita Im Lamitav. Mamita av Yerush has been Mita Isha Yerush has been. So says Rav Shimon, midaraisa, a woman does inherit her son, not like our Mishnah just taught us. We'll pause over here and we'll pick it up from here as we turn over the Amid, in which we'll have Kashas figuring out exactly how this din fits, etc.